helps us get our minds tuned to the right frequency, especially depending on the topic at hand, you know? So I could be over here playing something off the wall or not, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just getting my mind set in the right frequency because I got a message. I gotta get I gotta get it out. I got to. Like, y'all don't know how much I've been holding back. And it's not really holding back from not fulfilling the things that I know. But I don't know if y'all ready or not yet. Y'all ready? I don't know. Y'all ready? I mean, I think about things a little differently. I talk about things a little differently. I look different based on the things and topics that I'll be talking about. But I'm hoping I inspire because if I can get to a life where it's comfortable for me to put my glasses on like this and do a recording, you know what I'm saying? And tell y'all what's going on, you know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all really knew Bobby D, man, you're looking at a genius. I tell my son that all the time. I'm like, yo, sometimes I wonder if he really knows his pop's a genius. I told him that and he laughed in my face. But the geniality in my abilities is to make him feel comfortable in his own skin, right? I mean, I'm so inspired by him because he lives life fearlessly. I'm inspired by all the young ones because they don't even know what's coming yet and they just ambitiously trying to get everything they can. And that's the mindset you should have, right? Nipsey said it, yo, make a meal while you're young, right? Make a meal while you're young so then you can have a good opportunity to live your life out, right? I mean, it is what it is. Your boys, I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. I can sit down and put these glasses on and feel, just comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, people be seeing me and they don't even know what's going on with me like that. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really entertaining. I hope I can really get myself amped up to talk about a few things. Talk about technology, talk about my journey, talk about life, talking about love, traveling the world, having kids, working corporate America, to buying my first home, buying my second home, moving and relocating to the West Coast and finding my way right back to the East Coast. What up, South Florida? Palm Beach, would it be back? They don't know nothing about that. Palm Beach, where it be back? Oh man, but getting back home to getting to a point in my career where my daily efforts are really about focusing on the next move in my business. Like, I'm grateful to be at this point in my time, and the bills, they taken care of. Don't worry about that. That's what I tell my wife. Don't worry about that, because all we need to do is just create, and do more creating, I can't wait. I can't wait to look back at some of these videos and be in awe of where we're at and where I've come from, because I got a story to tell. I got 2 books I'm working on. I have a documentary that I'm waiting for somebody to tell me they ready for, right? Because I'm ready to change everybody's mind of what it looked like to be a highly performing technical engineer that's been around the block a few times. Holla at your boy as Bobby D. That's been around the block a few times, right? I mean, I'm not going to be telling war stories of things that didn't happen. I'm not going to give example of programs that I've written that I didn't really write, or go on missions that I really didn't go on, or even talking about things like Twitter going down and me really solidifying a phrase that I tell my mentees all the time, is that the world knows about me, but y'all don't know me yet. Y'all don't know me yet, because the world knows about me in the sense of, I'll give you a quick nugget on this so you can at least feel the clout that I'm bringing to the table when we're having these very high level conversations. I only talk high level. I ain't got time for low frequency people. Get at me, for real. But in terms of high level tech, imagine you working for a company that the world knows about, and you wake up in the morning and you find out that the system that you built, basically the computers, the software, and all of that, is basically down. CNN reporting it. Fox News is reporting it. My mom even called me and was like, yo, Bobby D, I heard this thing is down. What's going on? Type stuff, right? And getting to a point where you've known for a fact that these hands, these fingers have typed in commands that was like, yo, bring Twitter back up, enter. And it's like, you did that. And the whole world knows about it, but they don't know you yet. That's what it's really about, is me talking about war stories about working at Twitter, seeing the site go down, understanding the challenges that we deal with sites going down, understanding that the whole world is watching, right? And we got less than a few minutes to bring this thing back up because we losing money every minute is down type stuff. You know what I'm saying? And really having confidence in my technical ability to, number one, diagnose the problem, find a solution, execute on it as quickly as possible, right? And building a team that basically takes these same foundational principles where when Twitter goes down, you know what our saying is? Is like, yo, we're so excited that we're actually having to fight a firefight that the thing that we're looking for the most is the drinks after. All I'm looking forward to is the drinks after, because when you firefight so many times, you understand that you're going to be in the mud for a minute. You understand that people are going to be watching and wondering what you're doing and how fast you're doing and can you do whatever you're doing faster, right? And being able to lead a team of engineers through some of the practices that I've developed for us to have, those moments happen like it's nothing, you know what I'm saying? But also being one of the ones that actually execute on certain commands. Like, it's like, yo, I know for a fact, I was watching the chat room. Everybody was like, yo, everything is still down. And I say, in my mind, watch this. Because I don't know if you've ever had a chance to fix a problem that everybody's watching. One of the things that I like to do, especially in those moments, because it's not the first time that's happened to me, is I like to drop something and see if anybody notices. I drop something else. Does anybody else notice it? And then before you know it, yeah, it is working again, right? And it's not because I was like, yo, I think I found it. What do you think? No, I don't say anything. I go into the chat room, I executed my command, and then I sat there and I waited. And all of a sudden, ding, somebody else says, hey, things are starting to look good again. All right, there goes one. Ding! Everything is loading very well for me, and I'm on the other side of the world. Ding! Did anybody do anything? Because all of a sudden, things are starting to work again. You go to CNN. CNN is reporting, hey, Twitter is back up. I hope they know what went wrong and how it went down. And I'm just sitting there in that moment in time, reflecting. Because truly, it's not, hey, Twitter's down, we're losing money. But I really understood my impact as an engineer. I really understood how my fingertips themselves have the ability for the world to know about you, BobbyD, but they don't know you yet. Because the problem itself required a high-level technical engineer like yourself to go in there and do that work. Go in there and clean the thing up and whatever it was, make it work again, right? And the way that I drop these seeds reassures me and reaffirms the problem is fixed, right? Because after that, people are like, oh, this is that, and this is that. And it's like, yo, all right, we're moving things forward. The world knows we're back up. Let's see, and we figure out why we went down, right? And then you start to analyze the challenges we've had when we went down, right? So we went down and this also started to break, right? Like there's an endless list of things that we went down the list to figure out why the site went down so that it doesn't happen again. But for a fact, your boy BobbyD brought that thing back up. Holla at me. Yo, this is what the Tech Hustle Backstage of BobbyD is going to be like. We're going to have some music playing in the background. I have so many war stories to talk about because the thing that most people don't realize, number one, is that my story doesn't start at Twitter. I actually worked 10, 12 years in the industry before having a chance to work at Twitter. And I've been in the game for about 20 years total, with 9 years of those being at Twitter. So before that, I had the pleasure of working at places like the state of Florida for the South Florida Water Management District, another Fortune 500 company called Citrix Systems, that's WebEx, um, remote desktop type stuff, like really high level systems engineering stuff. Also had a chance to work for a startup here in Palm Beach that was a small um, technical institute or a software company that gave me the opportunity to travel domestically and internationally for 4 years. And that was when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I've seen the world. I've been around the world at least twice, literally on the plane, twice. It's one thing to want to travel, but then it's another thing to actually want to travel because most people don't realize it's great when you get there, but getting there is the toughest part. When you got to sit there for 18 hours on a plane, yeah, 16 hours to get to Japan. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going over there for a week though. I'm gonna stay over there for a month if I can because it takes so long to get there. But those type of stories are just so, how can I say, in depth and foundational to the things that I experienced at Twitter that most people don't even realize that I had to experience those things before going to Twitter and shining as bright as I did, right? My engineering does not start there. I've only took it to the next level, and obviously some of the work that I've done over the years have really impacted the world. And when you talk about people getting into this industry, I want to make sure number one, they're getting in for the right reasons and they're developing the right skill sets. And hopefully, my stories and past experiences can inspire them to continue to do what they do best, you know? Because this industry that we're in is really an open space. I mean, it's like every day I can start with a plain sheet of paper and I can design and build anything that I want. I'm one of those that enjoys solving problems, right? I enjoy solving problems with a system that's not working, so I understand all the moving components and then building a new system up from it, or repairing the system as I'm building up, right? Or understanding how it works, and while I'm building up my understanding, I'm repairing as I go. Now, that skill set itself is something that you don't really find that often in the industry. And I tell you, even with courses and boot camps that I see out there, a lot of people weren't learning the foundational skill sets to be systems engineers, systems administrators, or what I was at Twitter was a site reliability engineer. Now, I can talk for hours about being a site reliability engineer. There's a few mantras that I have, and just changing the mindset so that you can implement practices so that you can build systems reliably, right? That's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. Me working at Twitter for 9 years is that I really was an intricate part in building reliable systems that the world depends on. Not just systems that, it's on your application, I mean, on your phone, and you're like, oh my gosh, Twitter's this, but I mean, reliably having systems servicing those APIs and the hardware and software and operating systems that support all of those become so abstracted away that you don't even know they exist, right? That's where my foundational skill sets as a systems engineer come into play. But as a site reliability engineer, I just was able to double up and level up even more because not only as a systems engineer, I'm a software engineer. So my mindset is always focusing on writing software to automate myself out of a job. That's a mantra that I have: automate myself out of a job. And hey, I don't work at Twitter no more, so I guess I did a good enough job. Automating myself out of a job. Because I know for a fact, software that I wrote is still running till this day. And I tell you, as long as it's doing what it's supposed to do, Twitter will stay up and running. As soon as somebody changes something, hey, then it's out of that's not me no more, right? But I've literally found a way to automate myself out of a job. And I want to talk about that because I want to talk about the level of automation that I had to go down so that I can have moments like this to reflect back and actually have a track record of how reliable Twitter was, or how fast resources were allocated, or general understanding building distributed systems that can support the scale of the world. Like, I'm a different type of engineer. I'm a different type of dude. Like, when you see me in these streets, holla at your boy is Bobby D. Like, I'm different, right? And getting a chance to work in a work environment like Twitter where I could be so different, and it's embraced and like poured even more fuel into me because I ultimately felt like I could be myself. The first time I've ever felt like that. I've always felt like I've had to hold up a front, right? Until I get to a chance to work at a place where they say, "Now, Bobby D, be yourself," because that's why we hired you. We hired you to be yourself, right? And that's the thing that we have to start to realize and embrace in terms of people that are getting into this industry representing the underrepresented column, right? I don't really like to say underrepresented. I like to say they were overrepresented, right? I mean, you just had too many people that look like you, right? How are you supposed to introduce diversity if everybody looks like you, right? That's even another concept that I want to, topic that I want to make sure I cover on this channel is diversity and inclusion, or diversity in tech, is to talk about some of the challenges I've had. Because when I tell people my name BobbyD, right? First of all, there's a little reason why I do it, and we can talk about that later because I just programmed you, BobbyD, right? But my government name starts with a J, so when I write my name, I actually write J Bobby Dorless, right? But then the J was preventing me from getting hired because my government name is Jean Dorlus. Jean Dorless is my name. And I remember applying for a job and I was just testing it out. I said, yo, throw the application with the name Jean Dorless and throw the same application with the name Bobby Dorless. Guess who got a phone call back? Guess who, when they went to the interview, they didn't even know that was me. That happened multiple times. That actually happened at Twitter. I remember I was interviewing at Twitter, and Twitter's interview process is very intense. It is probably too intense because when you find great engineers, you meet them. When you meet a great engineer, you know off rip. But the thing is that interviewing at Twitter required me to interview with 5 different people. And I was sitting in this office waiting for somebody to come in. Obviously, the paper says Jean Dorless. I didn't know if they didn't know who I was, but I'm on West Coast. It's not South Florida where they know Jean or Jean as someone with Haitian descent or African descent, French descent, or whatever you want to call it. He came into the room and he walked back out. He came in, took a look at me and was like, oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm in the wrong room. And he walked back out. And then he comes back in. He was like, oh, no, I think I'm at the right place, so on and so forth. It wasn't until I got hired that I actually asked this person. I was like, yo, do you remember when I was interviewing, right? And he said, yeah, I remember when you was interviewing. I was like, yo, you came into the room, gave me this look like you were lost, and then walked back out the room, but then also came back. What actually happened? And he was like, you know the truth, Bobby? I looked at the name and it said Jean. I could have swore I thought who I heard over the phone was a young lady. And I was really confused because all I seen was this big black man sitting there at the table ready to hear me have a conversation. And I was like, yo, I hope I'm not in the wrong place. And then I turned out to run into you, Bobby D. That's what he said. And you really changed the way that I look at resumes. You changed the way that I read names now. Just from that one situation, I've changed somebody's frequency and mindset on how they look at people. I know that the whole story itself is like, dang, I can't believe you had to change your name or be mindful of your name like that. But at the end of the day, I've done things like that so that I can change people's mindset, because we had a conversation afterwards for me to make sure we go and check that box. Like, why did you go out of that room? Because you thought I was somebody different, right? And then why did you have this feeling when you first saw me, right? Those are the things that we need to focus on, changing people's subconsciousness about people. Because once I started to do things just like that more at Twitter, where it wasn't just Bobby is this black engineer, button up, suited up every day. Nah, I had my chain out, I had my hat on, I had my Jordans on. Your boy was sliding. I mean, I was so smooth, I made smooth look smooth. That's how smooth I was walking through them hallways at Twitter. They ain't know what hit them. And let me tell you, every time I remind people of why I do things like that, it was really meant for them to prepare for who were coming. Because I knew I was only one of a few black engineers there. I could count on my hand how many black engineers worked at Twitter 2013. Shout out to Chris Coco. What up, player? Shout out to Leslie. Shout out to everybody that had a chance. Robert, I know y'all know who you are. And at the end of the day, the world knows you also, because I'm going to continue to speak on your names, for real though. But being one of only a few black engineers, they didn't know how to handle somebody like me. Because I got there and they said, yo, Bobby, don't even wear a suit to the interview. Word. Yo, Bobby, be yourself. Word. And I'm standing back looking at people coming into the office with kilts on, with sandals on, with the beard as long as Jesus. Like Jack's beard that y'all see, that's nothing compared to some of my coworkers I saw. I was like, yo, if they can be like that, I guess y'all didn't know how fresh your boy could be, right? I guess y'all didn't know. And I'm gonna be moving, and nobody's even gonna say anything because it's gonna be respectful, it's gonna be in the right light, and it's gonna represent a culture that I know you can connect to because there's gonna be more of them that come through. I promise you that. That was 2013. That was 2013. Your boy was sliding. I said I was so smooth, I made smooth look smooth. Holla at your boy, it's BobbyD. Like, that was some good times. Those were some moments that I'm hoping I get more chances to talk about because it's really going to change people's minds, change people's frequencies, and change people's view on how, you know, at the end of the day, being a black engineer working at Twitter was one of the greatest things I've ever had the opportunity to do. I changed people's minds. I changed the frequency over there. I changed the culture. I'm not saying I did it on my own. No doubt about that. I did not do it on my own, but I definitely contributed. I definitely changed the way they looked at black people there. I definitely changed the way they heard and gave black people a voice. Because I can remember. You may not remember, but I remember. I remember when there can only be 5 of us counting on our hands. Did I know it's gonna pop off like this? You know me, I'm always manifesting what I want to see in life. So much so that the head of engineering when I left was a black man. Shout out to Nick Codwell. Nick Codwell became the very first black VP of everything at Twitter. And I tell you, every time I see him, I'm in awe. Shout outs to you, for real though. Because you didn't know that years ago, years before you got there, I had to have a conversation with management, right? I had to let them know that at the end of the day, ICs, basically individual contributors, were making progress on diversity and inclusion. But on the manager table, I don't see none of them that look like me. Only one. Thaddeus. Shout RIP Thaddeus. Thaddeus had passed away, and he was the only one black engineering manager. And I had a conversation with the VP of engineering at the time. His name is Mike Montano. MM. What's up, MM? And he was our Blackbirds engineering sponsor at that time. MM is well cultured, originally from Canada, I believe. Definitely has some Trini in his bloodline and has been well acquainted with the challenges that we have as being black people in this industry, and him lending his services to us was something great, and I'll never forget that because the day he came to a meeting, right? So what we have is ERG groups are called employee resource groups. There's one that's well known and everybody in the streets probably know about them called Blackbirds. I'm not a founding member of Blackbirds, but I was definitely there when it was only about a handful of us sitting there contemplating how we can change the industry or change the culture at Twitter and eventually the industry. But being a part of that initial group or the rebirth of Blackbirds really gave me a chance to really connect with staff management at a different level, because Mike Montano himself wasn't the first time that I spoke to him about this. Mike Montano heard me speak a number of times about the challenges we have with having black engineering managers on staff. Like, think about it. Who did I have to look up to? Just the people that's sitting next to me? Wow. You see, now I gotta cut the video off because Sunshiner got here. You wanna say hi, Sunshiner? Come say hi to the world because it's live. Come here.
Thank you.
Come say hi. I think I need 2 lights. What do you think? Because I feel like the lighting is hitting here, but no lighting over here.
Put it straight in the middle.
I tried it. Put it in the middle. Let me see. The middle is actually right there. Is that better?
What side's this side?
And you know what? I don't have the filter on there too. There's a white filter.
Yeah, I know. There's supposed to be white filter. See, that's good.
Move out of the way. me see the album. So that little circle, you see that light circle in the middle? So making that circle, it means that's in the middle. All right. And then I guess me sitting right here, being able to talk the way that I talk and do what I do and how I'm gonna do it.
And then you put the film on and you won't see the circle.
Well, hold on, let me stop this real quick.